Da 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 da! What's my good cheer? Welcome, welcome everybody. And if there isn't an everybody in this moment, let's give YouTube a couple of minutes to get those notifications out. Let people know I've gone live. And for those of you who pop in later, right, when you have a moment to put your feet up and relax and reflect on your day. And sometimes, you come home from those days and you just are totally wired. Sometimes it's just having that right ingredient to take into our systems to help everything seem to balance out again. You know what I mean? It is quite often that moment of when you walk in the door and you walk into the living room and you flop in the couch, but just to unwind. But sometimes you don't get that opportunity to unwind because you got the kids screaming, you got a husband that's coming home in 15 minutes looking for dinner, right? So it's in those moments that we can take for ourselves, right? To recognize, right, that we matter. And we get to choose what we get to bring into our systems to help us recognize what matters. For me, it's a good lesson. It's what I wake up and I absorb into my system. And before I go to bed, I make sure I'm absorbing into my system. And then whatever's in between, that's all sprinkles. That's all gravy. That's all extra in what I'm doing in practicing my craft. Today is the first day of the job that puts the roof over my head coming out of my days off. Grateful for that job because I have spent most part of those few days that I had off, right, in practicing my craft for myself, in recognizing that I matter and giving myself those ingredients that will make it so that I would want to continue in what I'm doing, right? And that's an amazing thing to be able to recognize when we recognize those things that we need and not feel guilt and shame in giving it to ourselves, right? That was an ingredient. That was a lesson. That was a lesson that I learned that made it possible that I'm sitting here right now. And what was that lesson? Right? What was that lesson? That lesson was in resilience, right? When I first started here on YouTube, we're going back 10 years now. I was an urban explorer. I explored abandoned farms. Explored abandoned houses, going all the way back to the 18th century. Some of these houses here in Manitoba are still standing. Some of these one room schoolhouses, some of these churches, and I have all those videos on my channel if you want to explore a little bit more about what I'm about. One of the things that, that are part of me, right? Because there are all kinds of experiences in my life that I cannot deny, but in not denying them, I have to recognize that there were ingredients that made it possible so that I could, right? In that lesson of resilience, when it concerned my channel, it was the fact that it was such a hard job, right? Running a YouTube channel, that's a big responsibility. And when you come in and with just this idea of I'm going to be like Logan Paul, I'm going to go viral, right? That I'm going to be, right? The next thing that I was going to create this magnificent life for myself, right? When I'd never had an experience of anything like that. And I was just going to crash into that life without taking in a few lessons. Well, I thought I was going to. But I quickly learned that I was going to crash without those lessons. And at first, I was taking YouTube lessons on how to keep my channel going, learning about thumbnails, learning about analytics, learning about the YouTube community. Then I learned about networks within the YouTube community. And I really wanted to be part of a community. I really wanted to be part of a network But, right, some of those ingredients in my life made it so that I would have to come at it uniquely, differently, because this is something I've never experienced before, right? But I wanted to be a part of it, so I started taking the lessons anyway, right? My YouTube channel was crashing. I was crashing in that YouTube channel. I was giving up on myself. The same thing I had done my entire life, right? When I got that pushback, I would just cave in and go, okay, that's what we're doing. Okay, that's what we're doing. That's who I am. Okay, that's who I am. I'm not worthy. Okay, I'm not worthy, right? In these different aspects of my real life, I was a giver upper, right? There was no resilience because I didn't truly understand what that resilience was until I could put it into perspective in what my life was about. In that resilience of my upbringing, that resilience of my father and never giving up and finding a way, that resilience of my mother putting up with my father's fancies and, right, holding up the family while my father enjoyed and explored and adventured in his own life, and right, and sometimes we get to miss out on some important lessons. My father missed out on some important lessons, but he discovered in that adventure and in those experiences that he was having a different kind of adventure, an adventure that moved him forward, and that if he could find a way, and I don't sure if he even thought to share those experiences, but I think in the evidence of his own life, I picked it up, right? I picked it up and I appreciated and I saw the truth for what it was, even though nobody else was recognizing it. But again, in that resilience and right, that's who you are. You've got it wrong, right? You don't know what you're talking about. I caved in. I caved in. In this YouTube journey, it took me a while. I was learning from lots and lots of different people, right? Anything, just that grabbing at straws in order to find anything that will keep my channel going, keep me surviving in what I wanted and needed to do. I finally happened on to a creator, a YouTube creator, no doubt. And I was, right? And I was in that realm because I loved my YouTube channel. I loved being part of the YouTube community. But if I was going to get some help, right, that help was going to have to come within that YouTube community. And, you know, I got attracted to some content. And they say we get magnetized to that, we get pulled into, right, that which we are. And I do believe for what I'm doing here in this moment that, right, I was graced. I was graced that I was recognizing what would help me and pulling myself into a community that I didn't understand. And I had to bring up a lot of courage in that because it was something I didn't recognize. It was pretty big and pretty scary. And I was just a 57-year-old woman from Winnipeg, Manitoba. What did I think that I had to contribute to a community like that? The only thing I had in the moment was my YouTube channel, right? But I went along with that, right? And it was in believing in that community and believing in that magnetism that I had, that pull that I had, right? In taking that idea and being willing to be molded in that idea that maybe I'd gotten some ideas wrong. Maybe I shouldn't have listened to what was, right, forcing itself on me to take as a truth, and maybe to believe a little bit more in myself that some of those ideas that I had were good ideas, right? that what I was so desperately trying to hold on to, my YouTube channel, was a good idea, right? And it was a good idea. It was a fantastic idea. But in my lack of resilience, right? And resilience is probably something I always had because it was the one thing I wasn't allowing myself to disperse of, to toss off to the side. This was one thing. Why? Because it was mine. It was wholly mine. Nobody understood I didn't know anybody doing YouTube, right? This was mine. This was my baby, and this was something that I had learned to believe in. And it took a while to believe because, right, so many pivots. And again, if you go back to my YouTube channel, you'll see the pivots. You'll see the giving ups and what I was doing, right? And just moving into the next thing and moving into the next thing. But in moving into the next thing, I realized there was one consistent in that. It was the fact that my YouTube channel was still here. The Prairie Dodgers is still here. 10 years, despite the pushback, my channel is still here. Why? That was Cindy's resilience, right? I don't think I was ever meant to come here and share the ideas that I'm sharing. But on the other hand, I think I was meant to be here. But because of that pushback and because of my lack of holding on to that one idea that I could run with, right? My YouTube channel, I'm running with it. I'm not giving up in that, but I'm not giving up in that because of the lessons that I've received, right? And I wouldn't have received those lessons if I had given up. I would have moved on and pivoted into the next thing, right? Those experiences offer up lessons 100%. I'm big on going down those side branches. I'm big on that. That's never going to change. That's part of my programming. But I needed some lessons under my belt to understand that, I could be my own teacher. I could be my own best friend. I could be that person who could choose the networks and the people that I want to surround myself with. I just don't have to accept what is going to be tolerant of my presence, right? I matter more than that, right? I matter more than that. And so I move along understanding, right, that I don't have all the lessons. I don't have all the ingredients in the moment. But what I do have is my brand. What I do have is my channel. And my channel is moving forward. And I have people and souls that are following me along the way and have been for as long as I've been here. And that's the God honest truth. And I think one of them is right here with me in this moment. Good afternoon, Nancy. I'm sure, right? Nancy, when she comes in, she always lets me know by throwing those hearts. And that's something I'm just going to throw to you, right? Ah, see, that was Nancy. I knew that was Nancy, right? It's absolutely amazing that I still have my brand, that I still have my channel, right? But that only comes for the resilience of not giving up on it, right? In adapting and conquering and finding a way. And here I am still, right? And here I will be 20, 30, 40 years from now. I think 40 years from now, I will be here. I feel like I'm just starting. I feel like I'm just starting. I'm so grateful, right? And this is fun, right? Right? Once you realize that I'm being rewarded, if nothing comes of this channel ever again, I have gotten not necessarily what I wanted out of it, but I most definitely got what I needed out of it, right? This lesson in resilience, one of many. And I'm delving in deep, you guys. I am. You guys, and I hope this serves whoever it comes across in their paths, right? Yeah, we're back at it tomorrow. One more day on resilience. I wrote down, right? It came to me, but I didn't write it down. As fast as these ideas come to me, they slip. And I'm so glad that I hit that live button because I was going to wait till I came home from work tonight. And instead, right, here I am. The lessons is out. I didn't even write it down, right? It might not have gotten out. That's on me, but I am a work in progress. Am I not? Right? Just like everybody else. Everybody, have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow. Have a great day, Nancy.